What's up? What's up? What's up? So I'm setting up everything right now, but right now on the screen I'm gonna go over these two books that I've read from Maximillien de Lafayette. I went over his first series yesterday. This one is going to be volume two, and then uh, the second book is just basically a guide to understanding Sumerian, Assyrian, Babylonian, Canaanite, and Phoenician tablets, slabs, symbols, and cuneiform inscriptions. So uh like actually today I was about to go to sleep now. I just received my Kindle Scribe, so I'm just waiting for the cover for it. But like I said earlier or yesterday, I love hardcover books. You can't beat that. But having a Kindle is wonderful. I mean, like I said, I can take notes on this. I have all kinds of stuff. It came with a stylus. Where's my stylus at? Right here, where I can take notes. I used to have. I'm gonna tell y'all how basic I started with taking notes. Now I had a composition notebooks. I have them all over my house and shit. Right, it's all these notes that I wrote down and shit like that. They're all over. Right, there's one right sitting right there. If I get up, it's right there on my desk. And then so with this Kindle Scribe, my wife actually just bought me a composition cover that mimics the actual notebook because I have a lot of those. Then I went to what they call is a rocket book, right? And then in the rocket book, it has little QR codes on the bottom corner, right? And it comes with a special type of pen right on there. Then you can get some water and take it off, and you can just erase it and reuse it over and over again. But I used it so much that I guess the protection or the cover or whatever, the film or whatever you want to call it, that's on top, I wore it down so much so now it's hard to write. So when this Kindle Scribe came out, I was like, a couple of years ago, I was like, damn man, I want that, but it was too expensive. So of course I got it when the Prime Day was. But like I said, I have two books in here. Well, I have a lot of books from Maximilian, and I have a whole entire list on my website, rebirthoftheword.com, of all the books that I personally own through my Kindle and hardcover books. Now, I also do rent books from Kindle Unlimited because you can get, if you have a, sub cadence. I can't hear you though yet. Here, I'm going to add you to the stage. Unmute yourself.
All right, testing.
There you go. What's up, bro?
And I haven't been live in years.
It was a good time to start. So, like I was saying, man, like I have all these, and I'm not going to keep this going on. I'm going to open another space up here. I'm just trying to build what they call a bibliography of all the books that I personally read and all that stuff, where people can say, okay, I see where Rebirth read this shit from. So I'm reading from the actual, well, I'm not reading verbatim exactly what is said in the book because of copyright and all that other shit. But I am reading what I've learned from reading from these books. And then the Kindle Scribe, you have these little things, what's called highlights, right? And then in the highlights, it's just basically important shit that I found interesting. It's just anything like anybody reads a book. So in the first book, let me make sure that I'm actually talking about the right book before I start because I don't never like to give wrong information. So I have to go through all this real quick. Hold on. So okay, so the first
Well,
book
see
that
if
I'm
I
gonna
can.
be what's up, bro?
Okay, yeah, we're talking Sumerian.
Yeah, yeah, just what I'm saying, just basically the Sumerian stuff that I always talk about. Um
Oh, nothing wrong with that. I'll always bring up the only thing I ever argue about on that is don't forget source information from like Babylonian, Arcadian. There were also other cuneiform, you know, cultures that have some of those myths that we're looking for.
yeah, you're right. No, you're right. You absolutely right, bro. And actually what I decided to do was I don't know how often I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do this a lot. every book that I've personally read, I've put on my well, I don't not that I personally read, but every book that I personally own is on my website, right? And I'm continuously updating. I have like 60 books that I have to update to it, but I just got so much shit going on, like with writing my book and updating my website, YouTube. Updating what books I have to put on my website is least of my worries, right? I can pull them out
Right.
anytime I want to, but I'm going through that list and talking about each and every book. Just like how I go, like if you go through, remember how you go through my Twitter page, is basically everything that I've learned from what book. I take a picture of the book, the page, and whatever I found interesting. Well, now I'm starting to elaborate on it. What I wanted to do was I wanted to hold out to subscriptions for Twitter because I kind of did, in a way, want to have this for a special group of people that was very serious about it. But I was just like, forget it. I just go ahead and start it because it's whatever, because all these streaming devices and stuff. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is the Maximillien de Lafayette explanation of Sumerian and Assyrian tablets, slabs, seals, and translations of cuneiform
I see. You
scriptures.
just said Syria. Yes, good point. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please go
Nah,
on.
you fine,
Let me
bro.
cut my mic off.
Nah, man, I love this interaction, bro. I hate how in Twitter spaces you got to raise your hand and all that shit. If I was at your house, would I
Right?
raise my
I'm so
fucking
used to
hand?
those habits. Yeah, I'm so used to those habits now that it's like I do it. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Nah, if we was all sitting in the living room, I would look at you crazy if you raised your hand to speak. You know what I'm saying? We ain't in fucking
Right?
school,
We're not in
boy.
school. I mean, we're in school, but not that kind of school.
Exactly,
Uh,
right, right.
we're in the adult school now. Yay! We don't have to raise our hand.
Right, right.
Right.
Um, so or so with the first highlight that I found interesting from the book that I just mentioned, this is volume 2 of the one that I did from yesterday. He talks about Tiamat, and we all know what Tiamat is if you
Oh
read
yeah,
the Enuma
Tiamat.
Elish.
Tiamat.
Yeah, read the Enuma
Sorry, you
Elish and
caught me on
boom.
a smoke break, and because I'm not allowed to smoke cigarettes in the house, and it's understandable. It's understandable. It's just the way of the world these days. You know, people just know you don't smoke indoors unless you have proper facilitation for it, like air. You know, the ventilation is separate from the rest,
You know
and
what,
even then,
man?
most people don't do it because
You
they
know
don't want to
what?
damage their car or their house if they want to resell it or use it as a trade-in in the future. If it's been contaminated with smoke, it don't matter how many times you clean it, they're gonna be like, we're gonna have to knock a little off because of that.
Yeah, they got what they got? They actually have detectors for that shit. They can tell when you smoked in somewhere. Like they got, and I'm just like, man, it ain't that serious, man. It ain't that serious. But I guess it is for some people.
For some people.
You know what I mean? So
Now
go
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 ahead
ahead, go
with
ahead.
yeah, Tiamat's a good one. I just want to throw in there is also a reference to Tiamat being a actual astral body, a planet, a planetary
Yeah,
body. I mean, I
yeah,
find that interesting too. Besides the deity itself, or the mythology that we're getting ready to go over, does it talk about that in there? Just out of
yeah.
curiosity.
Well, see, in here, okay, so on in his book, it says, well, you know what? Let me make sure. Let me make sure, because what I like about the Kindle is that I can
Yeah,
type in um the word and I can see all the shit that's related to it. Oh
that's a
yeah.
good mic.
All right, so I'm just gonna let you guys know now. If I get disconnected, it's because it's storming. Because I just realized it's raining outside, and it ain't supposed to be storming, but or cutting off any electricity. But let's just hope not. But yeah, it talks about it does talk about stuff in here. Yeah, I have at least okay. So
Yeah,
here's
but
the first thing that I found. This page 5, and it talks about
what
Marduk.
impact?
It talks about Tiamat, the Sumerian winged dragon.
Uh-huh.
And
Go on.
it's a
Yeah.
depicted on the ritual libation cup of King Gudea of Lagash, circa 2100 BC. So it gives you the information. See, and this is what I like is that I like books that give
Okay.
me some type of evidence. Now it's a part of my responsibility to go and I say this a lot, and then my wife hates it when I say this, but I learned this from being in the military. Trust but verify. I trust what you say, but I gotta
But
verify it for myself. I
mhm,
just have to, because it's my ass that's on the line. If I don't do
right,
it, you know,
accountability, accountability,
right. So
accountability. You are accountable for it, so you might want to know something about it, and they're not. You have to do that on your own. Yes,
yeah,
take the initiative to.
exactly. So that's why I say for me, it's if somebody says, "Hey, um, Tiamat is the Sumerian winged dragon," I'm gonna say, "Well, where did you get that from?" And if they say, "Well,
Right.
it's depicted on the ritual libation cup of King Gudea of Lagash," then I'll be like, "Oh shit! Well, now it's my
Now you
responsibility.
talking.
Now I got to go look at that information. I can't say that you're wrong unless I go look at it for myself." You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
most people, like I said earlier, they listen to to give you a rebuttal, to refute what you said, to take away from what you said. They don't listen to learn anything, because as soon as somebody gives you information about something that you didn't know, you have no ground to argue on, because you didn't know that
Lot.
information. Now you got to take that information they told you, and now you got to research it for yourself.
Right,
Now
and that's
you
somewhere in
have to verify.
spaces I tell you to put stuff in the bubble. When you're talking about things, I know you have it up top, but I prefer you to send me links and stuff. I actually follow up on some of these things that are interesting to me, where there's parallels with something I might be researching, and go, hey, I want to find out a little more about this particular facet.
Right. And that's why I say, you know, due to copyright, you can't give everything that's out in the book, but you can talk about what you've learned. So that's why I promote the books that I share. That's why I'm taking a picture of what it is exactly. You can get the book, like you if you have the Kindle, if you have Kindle, you can get the Kindle Unlimited. You can get this for free. There's no excuses for not knowing this information. It's only up to you whether see, I don't even care if people believe what I say. All I care about is, hey, if I said something, 9 times out of 10, it comes from the book that I've read it from, and I'm telling you how I understand it because it's my interpretation from reading the material myself. Now it's up to you to do the same thing, and then we can have a comparative study discussion after that. I hate when people say, "Let's have a debate." I don't want to debate because
Absolutely.
that shit's gonna lead to an argument. I already know a debate's gonna lead to a fucking argument. A comparative study discussion is me asking you a million questions. You might have
Right.
10 questions, and we ain't even going to get to three of them because I'm gonna ask you a million questions based off one, two, and three questions that
Yeah.
I have.
Today, it happened like that. I don't know how everybody all of a sudden had a mic, and it was like I thought we were going to do the presentation first and then open it up, and one thing led to another, and I was like, wait a minute, we didn't really get to cover anything. I
Well,
mean, we were covering everything, but nothing far as straight out of the book and starting from the top and going, hey, here's the prologue to it and all that good stuff. Maybe a little background on Mr. Casey and all that good stuff. And I was like, man. But the only good thing about that is that just means there's room to make plenty of other shows. It was already flaring up from the very beginning. But- So that's good in a way because that means people were actually wanting to know something.
right.
Now,
And
for what reasons? I don't know for sure, but the fact that people were inquiring was like, okay, yes, that's good.
You know, I'll be honest with you. What bothers me the most is that people come in the spaces, hear about 2-3 minutes of the discussion, and believe that they have already have a whole idea of what it was talking about, and then they jump in. Like you said,
Wow.
I didn't like you know how
They
I
don't
am.
look up
I don't
top. They don't look
that's
up
the
top and they
problem.
don't
They
look
don't
in the
look up,
bubble. That's what that bubble's for, man. All
and
those
they go off
comments
of
basically gives you a chain of what different parts were talked about at different times in that show. Because that's how people will post to it. They'll you'll say something at the very beginning and they'll start like finding stuff and make their comments and what have you in the bubble, maybe give you leads to other information or the same information from another source or pictures, anything like that. And uh, that's what I usually do when I go into a room. I don't know what's going on. It's already been in like an hour into the show, and
yeah.
yeah, I might look at the bubble first and get an idea of what's going on. What were they talking about? Oh wow, they talked about like five different things. So I can jump in at where they're at now on, and so yeah, and especially the top. I mean, it's at the top. How do you miss that part? You know, nobody even looks at that. They're just
Right,
like,
right.
just kind of like surfing through rooms or something. I don't know.
It's so funny because you know all I do is just share what I've read. I don't even share my opinions. I haven't even began to share my opinions, and I think I'm saving that for my book, but I don't know yet. Because I
Right. You
am
do
on.
personally when it's just a one-on-one and you're not in public or it's not being recorded and it's just
Yeah,
us. But
well,
yeah,
it's kind of
I
hard
see the risk
because,
in it.
well,
I
I
did.
don't think
You
it's risky. Honestly, I think to me, and I'll be 100%. I read so much and do so much research that I can tell you my opinion or what I believe now, and it will be totally different a week from now.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Very good point. Very good
And
point.
it's not that I'm
Very good point.
trying to retract what I'm saying or that I'm trying to fool people. It's because I gathered more information since that time. You know what I'm saying? So
It's an ongoing investigation is how they would
right,
say it, you know? It's
right, right,
ongoing, man. Yes, we figured
right.
some stuff out, but we ain't gonna say nothing about it. We don't have our ducks in a row yet.
Right.
We don't know we're following the evidence.
Right. And I'll be honest with you. I say a lot of shit based off of what I've read at that moment. Like right now I've read all I went over and read Darwin's books. And Darwin's books are fucking amazing. And I can see why people hated him. And I explained that earlier. So there's no need to get into
Good
that
old
right
dodo
now.
bird.
But
Yeah, how he got it all started.
you know, when I try to find the origins of something, I try to find somebody who has done their due diligence. Now, nobody can knock that Darwin went out there and did what the fuck he did. You know what I mean? Darwin went out there, boots on ground, researched what he could with the science and information and technology that he had available at that time. He went in there, he walked around, he did his due diligence. Who am I to say that he was wrong because he might have got one or two or three things wrong? You know, everybody in their theory is going to give off incorrect information. That's just how it goes. Your theory is not perfected
Right.
until they can take it from a theory to an actual proven fact, right?
And that's why I
That's
like going straight through the books. If I'm just saying it verbatim, it's not me. It's not my quotes. We can talk about it later about what I felt about it or what I would have said that would might be different. But we're just reading out of a book, and that's why I like the way you approach that too. You go through the data straight from the data point instead of making it personal and adding your own spins on it and stuff. You just give them the news and then say, hey, we can have a conversation about it later. But
right, right, right. To me, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of information out there, and there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to get all that information by reading. You going to get that information. Nobody. We have to take everything we've
I mean,
read from everywhere, and it's like a puzzle piece. I even put it on my website.
that's
If
what I'm
everybody takes
saying.
a piece of their puzzle and put it together, there's no idea. You will have no idea what picture you will see. Right? I cannot tell you what that puzzle is supposed to be until we put all those pieces together. And if each and every one of us have our own puzzle piece, then I have to
Right.
go out there and damn, did y'all hear that? Shit,
That is the
boy.
biggest issue is cross-referencing information with other fields of science or whatever it is. Cross-reference. I can't overemphasize that. People that do have the knowledge probably have degrees, which means they get specialized, which is the issue. They get stuck in their field and they know almost everything about that and even the most current stuff that relates to that material that may be quite old. And
Right.
but they don't cross reference. 9 times out of 10, they're very specialized when they've dedicated that much time and education in a particular field, and so it makes them very um, you know not narrow minded, but narrow visioned
Yeah.
uh, at
Not
times.
narrow
You know, they
minded
have to stay in
is a
their
good word.
but they have to, and in order to keep up with it, some of these things that we study, you literally could spend a lifetime just on that one subject. I go dive into alchemy and esoterics and arcane, and each one of those by themselves, you could spend a lifetime and never truly master it. I mean,
Bro, I am
it's
so glad
hilarious.
you said that because I like the saying, the jack of all trades. I
There you
am a
go.
jack of all trades. I know a lot about a lot of stuff. I'm just not an expert on that one subject. And what I mean by that
Right,
is like you
right. Yeah,
say that if somebody spent their whole life studying alchemy, now I know a little bit of alchemy, but I
I got
also
a
know a
couple.
little bit about this over here. Now, what this over here, I come to the assumption that could be the helpful tactic for what alchemy could be. Like we could know what not know but Trevor's here. What's up, Fear? What's up, bro?
Hey, how's
What
it
up?
going,
What up?
man?
Oh, what's going
Oh, there
on?
you are.
Yeah, so yeah, we
Yeah,
talking
we were
about
just
these books up here, bro. But yeah, we jumping from
cross-referencing
some.
information and stuff. Uh, yeah, we're on that. We're on that.
But see,
Forgot what I was
but I'm gonna go to this because this is the next part of this book that I want to. I at least want to finish one of these books, and it doesn't matter.
Yes.
When I always talk about stuff, I always talk about the origins of stuff, right? When it comes to religion,
Okay.
most people
Roots.
consider the Sumerians of the first people that had a type of religion because of the Anunnaki, and then you got the argument with the Indus Valley civilization that their religion has always been there and was recorded much later on some type of writing style, right? Well,
Right.
when
Many.
I think of the monotheistic religion, we all think about the Abrahamic faith, right? We always think about that. Well, in this book right here, the one that I was talking about, volume 2, it says the homeland of Abraham and his father Tara was the city of Ur or there's so many
Oh
different,
yeah. Good old.
yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
different
Big
ways of
U.
saying
Little
it. Yeah.
R.
Yeah, right. And that's basically the word that's used for Old Babylonian, Sumerian, Akkadian, and Chaldean. Now, I have an
Right. There
1873
you go.
Bible
4
here,
reference points. I like that.
points right there, right? I have
Bam.
an
You had your ducks
1873
in a
Bible.
row, man. You are.
Exactly. And that's what we talking about, having our ducks in a row, at least bringing sources to the table so that way people can say, hey, let me research this information
Right.
because,
And if it
you
is
know what I
just
mean?
one specific one, if you're only talking about the Babylonian translation, there's going to be significant variances. Even if it's the same culture, like we were talking about Greek earlier, that their own deities and heroes and, those kind of beings that they had in their history changes.
Mhm.
You look up Aphrodite. When are you talking about Aphrodite? Lots
Yeah.
changed over even within the Greek time period. And so
Yeah.
yeah, you got to know, you got to do those specifics and tell people what's going on. This is an Arcadian record of this particular person that we're talking about.
Now let me
So
throw
yeah.
let me tell you what is interesting about what we just talked about. So it was, or so many different ways of saying it, that Abraham learned about the Anunnaki gods, Enlil Ea Enki, and developed his ideas of one God governing the great universe, the entire universe. Now, okay, now let me put this into you. If the Abrahamic faith started around 2000 BC, right? That's around the same time as the Sumerian Akkadian time frame, right? Because Sargon the Great, right? This is not me saying it. This is what's written in history. Okay. All right. Sargon of Akkad, the Akkadian Empire. Okay. Abraham would have known who the Anunnaki was. Sometime or some point in his life, he prayed to one of the Anunnaki gods slash Anuna, because that's what the
Well,
Sumerians called them.
what about Melchizedek? Because Melchizedek was his king and
Oh
his
man,
priest.
that just came up.
That's
That,
Babylonian time frame. See, that's why I
but
say
Okay,
Specific account.
but that's who Abraham would. That Melchizedek was Abraham's king and priest, and that's who he paid tithe to. So
Right, right, right.
was that the Anunnaki god that he's praying to?
But see, this is
Because
the thing.
like Melchizedek was revered as a god, and he was also known as to be there in the creation in the beginning of time. So was he Jesus, or was he like an archangel? But was he an Anunnaki god?
Well, in my 1873 Bible, an archangel is Jesus, and Jesus is an archangel. That's literally what's written in it, and I have that recorded on my YouTube channel, so that's an easy reference to go to. But like I said, Melchizedek comes much later in a time frame, right? Babylonian,
Yeah.
depending on, this is where it gets confusing at. Okay, Babylon is known as the capital of Chaldea, according to my 1873 Bible. I've posted that on my Twitter account as not something that I have to even argue with, right? Obviously, the Abrahamic faith started around 2000 BC because I have a book right here that's actually called, man, I got notes everywhere. It's the Bible charts and maps and timelines, and it says that the Abrahamic faith started around 2000 BC. Well, we know that the Sumerian civilization was 3200 BC to whatever some people want to say after that. But the Akkadian time frame started around 2400 BC. Now, that means that Abraham or Abram would have known that he were. So that means there was a time in his life, in Abraham's life or Abram's life, when he decided to pray to one of the Anunnaki gods. And one of those gods answered his prayers. And that's who he decided to worship as his God, right? Because when we as humans, when we pray to a God, we pray to a God to help us in whatever dilemma or issue or whatever we're going through, right? We praying to God for help. Okay. If a woman was trying to get pregnant in those times, 9 times out of 10, she would have probably prayed to Ishtar, Inanna, the Virgin Mary. There's so many different names for her. They would have prayed to her. So what I'm saying is that the monotheistic religion, the belief in one God, not only started in Mesopotamia, but we also have to remember about what happened in Egypt. Remember the sun god? Remember when they decided to worship one God? It's always been a twist of, exactly. It's always been a time in life when we needed to worship a God that answered our prayers. What did Constantine do? Remember? He started to believe in one God when his prayers were answered during a battle.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, he changed faith. Yes.
Right.
Because of that event.
Exactly. So there were
caused the cascade effect, man. Changed the world.
Which God was the flavor of the week?
Hey, they got Kool-Aid, they got Flavor Aid.
Right.
Flavor Aid. They ain't got no sugar.
they got Kool-Aid and Flavor Aid. Pick whichever one you want. You know what I'm saying? But the idea is that the Abraham had to know who the Sumerian gods were, or the Anunnaki gods were. He had to. There's no question about that. It's just which one he decided to worship. Now, when you read the Holy Bible, you get Yahweh, Yeshua, you got God, you get Lord, you get Baal. All these gods are different gods. Lord and Baal is literally the same. Because guess what Baal means? Lord.
And also, isn't it true that El was the father of Bel, but there was also Yam. It began with the Y, which was the father of. It was known as the father of. There's 2 different entities that was confused to be El, but one was the father of one who was the father of Baal themselves. and what was also known changed into Yahweh.
Shit,
Yeah,
I
I find his temple very interesting. The Temple of Baal. It was built over by the Romans with the Temple of Jupiter, and the the reason why it's such a big deal is because of the size of the stones they were using at the site were just super large, and they have these three big ones. They call, you know what I'm talking about,
Oh yeah,
but that's probably a side note. But man, it just makes you go, hmm. So yeah,
Eh,
go on.
bro. There's so much information out there. Like I said, that you know, we get to the point where are these just repeated stories? And I'll give you a point. We all know about the
Yeah,
philosopher's stones in some way, right? We all have our own idea. We don't need to get into that. Well, there's a Phoenician amulet that, and this is the second part of the book that I'm talking about, which is basically the guide to understanding Sumerian, Assyrian, Babylonian, Canaanite, Phoenician tablets, slabs, symbols, and cuneiform inscriptions. In that book, he talks about how there's a Phoenician amulet which dates to around
or that.
1648 to 1539 BC. And this is what he says that I find interesting. And if we all know about what the philosopher's stone is, this is going to make sense. He says it's an amulet mounted on a finger's ring. It is intended to protect the person wearing the ring. According to Phoenician magic, this amulet provides divine protection and physical and spiritual renewal and regeneration. Now, does the philosopher's stones give you a little bit of an indication of what that is?
mm, I
I
don't know.
mean, they figured out what it supposedly is or how to make it, but it's funny because they make it out of urine. I was like,
And
what? That
from
was a
what
little disturbing, but
from what I understand, if I'm from what I understand, there's for the philosopher's stone, there's possible three different colors of what the philosopher's stone could be,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
whether it be
speak on it. Speak on it. Speak on it.
red, yellow, or green. Is from what I understand that what the possibilities could be. So it could be either piss, yellow, red, the color of blood, color of life, the essence. But green, the only thing I can think of is like earth tones, or earthbound colors. That's the only thing I can
hey,
think of.
I'm so sorry, but I do gotta go. My wife's waiting for me, and I gotta deal with something real quick.
All
Uh,
right, bro.
but I appreciate y'all having me. I know that y'all are probably not even close to finished on this one.
Um,
uh,
I'm I'm gonna finish up this one on the book, and then Fear, he said he'll start one up right after this. So yeah, we'll be done in a minute, about 15, 20 more minutes.
okay, okay. All right, guys. Thank you for having me. I gotta go for now, but I will be back. Uh, not on this one, obviously, but definitely Saturday.
All right, bro. Take it easy, man. Take it easy,
All
bro. I
right. Thank
appreciate you
you.
coming in, man. This
This
it's
is
finally good to get
getting
get a
good.
get a picture on the face of who's talking behind the mic, cat.
Right.
Sometimes I prefer the mystery in
All
general. You know, I just go by the cat, man. It's just the cat.
right,
Bye
bro.
bye.
Take all right, man.
Much love, everybody.
All right, bro.
Peace.
But man, this is lovely, man. Actually bringing people together and actually having interaction with people. So Trevor, so yeah, man, like with this book, bro, he has a lot of books on Kindle for free. You don't even have to have a Kindle to buy. You have um your computer, and you can actually, they have apps for it. I mean, it's $9.99 a month. But in this book, he has a lot of books, bro, from what I've read, and he talks about the Anunnaki a lot. And some of this stuff, like I said, I believe. Some of the stuff I don't really believe, because there's not enough evidence to back it up. And you can tell when he gives his opinion or not. But he does give
Mhm.
you sources. Like he says a cylinder seal from Tel Asmar in Iraq depicting god Ea, which is also known as Enki, accompanied
Mhm.
by two deities in the form of a scorpion. So, when we always read about stuff in the Bible or any ancient text that has a dragon, that can also be depicted as a scorpion, or be thought as a scorpion, because this is what it says here. And it says the scorpion represented wisdom and determination, while the dragon represented authority and primeval female aspect of the creation. So to me, that's information that helps me understand things. And I'll tell you why. When it says that scorpion is wisdom and determination, I love knowledge. I always say knowledge is power, but that's not enough. It's just enough power to get you where you at. Wisdom is where you want to be at. You want to, that's where you want. That should be your end goal. And then when you think about the dragon, it's always talked about as some type of a creation, right? And that's interesting to me, because certain reptiles can produce without having both sexes. So to
Yep.
me, that's very interesting, because that makes sense. What is a dragon? It could be another word for a reptile, right? We know that we have words for the Komodo dragon. That's one of my favorite fucking dragons, the Komodo dragon, right there, right? Like that
Kind
that
of
that thing is beast, bro. You know what I'm talking about, right?
reminds me of the fish. It's called the Ross, but it's spelled WRASSE.
Mhm.
All of the fish are female, but they can decide to turn male as well. But when they're between 5 and 7 years old, they can literally switch their sexes, like kind of like
Oh,
seahorses, and that's the way that they can reproduce. But all of them, they're born female. It's pretty cool.
oh wow. Yeah, it's crazy how things work. When I was reading Darwin's books, he talks a lot about hermaphrodites. And
Hmm.
um, you know, there I don't want to get into it too much right now, but what if there are mythologies about human hermaphrodites creating a new type of species, because they didn't have to have an interaction with the different sex? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There is so much that can possibly go on with these information, that it's amazing that you have to read almost everything just to get an idea. And what I mean by that is, like you're reading the Coburn Bible right now, and I find that interesting, because the Coburn Bible gives you, depending on the version that you read, you'll get a sense of how misinformation can be spread and shared, right? And that's neither here and there. But the point is that knowing what the lies are, right? Like you can say, "Oh, I've read the Copeland Bible, and I can tell you that I've read this in there, and what's written in King James version doesn't make sense." And I'll say this, for instance, like when we go to the demonology book, and King James has the Holy Bible, then he has a book that's like 70 something pages long, that's about demonology.
Hmm.
And then when you read Plato's book, Cratylus, Cratylus, because I don't know if I'm saying it right, demons are wise men, or men who died honorably.
Hmm.
So how the fuck do you get all this evil shit, right? Like, where does it start, right? Like, are wise men evil because they have knowledge that others don't believe? But then when you go to the Holy Bible and read Adam and Eve, and how God didn't want Adam and Eve to know about their nakedness, because as soon as Eve and Adam ate from the tree of knowledge, they knew they were naked, right? They knew about their nakedness. But then when you learn about nakedness being something totally different than what is actually what someone would believe, it throws a whole wrench into it. So it's just like,
Hmm.
damn, man, like, what the hell? Well, let me pull up this highlight. So let me see, because I got a lot of stuff. highlights on here. Some of it is good. Okay, so somebody was talking about Adonis the other day. I can't remember what space we went. I'm just I'm clicking on it right now to come to pop up. Okay, so it says right here, Adonis was also identified with the Babylonian god Tammuz. According to Phoenician mythology, Adonis was killed by the tusk of a wild boar, and following his death, the river Nahir Ibrahim, located in Phoenicia, modern day Lebanon, turned into a river of blood. Now, when I hear a story like that, all I hear about is how somebody was trying to go hunt a damn wild boar and fucked up and didn't do what they were supposed to do, and got gored by the wild boar. And then the alligator, since it was fresh meat, or crocodiles, I should say, were fresh meat, was seen it as fresh meat, took it into the river and ate it up. That could be a story right there. You know, it
Yep.
doesn't have to be that this, and he could have been a well-known deified man that turned into a god because he was good at killing wild boars. He were able to bring wild boars meat to the table, right?
Yep.
And then somehow some wild boar got the best of him because of his, what they call in the military, complacency. Right? He got complacent and he got beat up by this wild boar and died. See, and that's how I think about these stories, because Adonis was known as a god in some texts, or Adonis, or however you want to say it. So to me, it's always these, what if stories and stuff.
Wasn't Adonis also known as like one of the most beautiful gods, like as for the male kind of like Aphrodite or whatever, Athena or whatever her name was, like one of the Greek goddesses? Wasn't like Adonis wasn't Adonis the like the male version?
Shit, I'm not sure. I don't know. But let's jump on to what Yahweh, right? So in this book right here, the Maximillien, the one that's on the right, the guide to understanding the Sumerian, Assyrian, blah 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 blah. It says the biblical story of Yahweh fighting the dragon is copied from the Baal cycle. Okay, who fought against Yam. Now, I know Lord and Baal or Baal. I know how many. I heard people say it all different ways. Basically, let's just get to the gist of it. Yahweh was fighting a dragon, okay, which was a serpent, which may be also known as a reptile, or whatever the case may be. Yahweh is also known as the God of war. So why wouldn't he fight the dragon, right? Like he specializes in that. That's his thing. Anybody that does research behind Yahweh would know that he was a god of war, which we know there are many gods of wars, from the Romans, the Greeks, and so on and so forth. But if he was a god of war and he was Yahweh, why wouldn't he be fighting the dragon? You know what I'm saying? And why wouldn't he overcome that? Because he was the god of war. Who can beat the god of war?
Why would I want to fight a god of war?
You know what I mean? So that, that right there to me just brings good information to me. Just knowing that Yahweh was the god of war and knowing that he fought a dragon, I would expect a war story from the god of war, and maybe the one with the dragon is the most, important one, or at least the most famous one, or the one that gave him the most fight, right? I mean, it's neither here or there. I mean, who was really the dragon? You know what I mean?
Who was the serpent?
The adversary that some people call it, right? So anything that was against what that Yahweh, or just the adversary of anybody, right? Of course, there's going to be an adversary for a god of war. There's always going to be somebody that's going to be wanting to fight the god of war. I mean, whether they win or lose, that's a whole different story. Hold on for a sec. I had to sneeze real quick. But this is what's interesting to me. The next part. And I say this is interesting to me because when I read Anton Park's books, he talks about how Enki gave metallurgy to Eve, and he gave in his book Eden um the cuneiform tablet identifier and the holy text from the Bible that it correlates with. And in his, like I said, he talks about how Enki gave Eve the idea of metallurgy. Well, metallurgy is also the beginning of agriculture. Most people know that. There's no argument
Mhm.
with that. We don't have to argue with that. Adam and Eve. Eve ate from the tree of knowledge. Well, what is the tree of knowledge? How do you get apples? It's through agriculture. But when I learn about Ninhursag or Ninhursaga, and there's so many different names for her, Maximillien de Lafayette says that Ninhursag is shown here as the goddess of irrigation. And he gives a little, and I'm not sure it's going to be able to be clear in here, but he gives a little, a little picture in his book.
Hang on.
Of
Whoa.
how,
Whoa. Put that back up there.
can you see it? Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to zoom it. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
That little funky little thing on it, on headband looking thing on his forehead. That
Yeah. So,
whatever he's got on his head.
yeah. So with, no, it's a her. So with
Her.
her,
Okay.
yeah. So with her, she's known as the goddess of irrigation. She's also known as the helper who created humans, according to
Wouldn't that be
Sumerian.
Ninurta as well?
See, that's why I said she has a lot of different names, and a lot of people put her into a lot of different categories. Now,
Mm.
I don't know. Let me see. Let me make sure something because I don't want to say. Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong. Because I know Ninurta is actually supposed to be her husband, or I don't remember. I know it's a dude. I know that, but I can't remember if he's supposed to be. Let's see. Okay, no. His parents was Ninhursag. Yeah, that's what I want to make sure. So Ninurta was the parent. His parents were Enlil and Ninhursag. That's why I wanted to verify that information.
Okay. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
confused on that because isn't Ninurta like the mother of all or something like that?
No,
I,
no,
I
it's a
don't have.
dude. Ninurta is the dude. Is a dude. Ninhursaga is a female, but her parents are huh?
I'm
Ninhursa
just saying. I was just saying, fuck me running because I don't have my computer in front of me, so I'm like, I'm flying off what's in the back of my head right now.
no, that's fine. Ninurta is also known as Ningasu. So that's probably why you get it, you got it mixed up because Ninhusaga, Ningasu. That's why I say for me, that's why I said, hey, hold on, let me go check this to verify this because I wanted to make sure I was saying the right stuff because these names can get crazy. But with Ninhursag, being her known as the goddess of irrigation, it makes me wonder, does she have an idea of who Eve is? But I will get into that in a different time when I find out when I tell you about who Inanna is. It's just okay. So here, let me put it like this. So Ninhursag was also called the mother goddess, right? The word Ninhursag means queen of the mountains, composed of two words. Nin, a prefix which means queen, a female deity, and Hursag, which means mountain, right? And she was known as a goddess fertility and midwifery. And in Akkadian Sumerian clay tablets, he talks about how she was associated with Nana, who was the creator of man, and the earth mother goddess, right? So um, he gives you these this what you call it, the cuneiform tablets and cylinders and artifacts that backs up his claim. So that's what I like about him for him. I can tell you when it comes to the Anuna / the Anunnaki, you know, you might call them one thing, one word, like Nibiru, for instance. Nibiru is
Nippur,
Akkadian and Nebru is Sumerian. You know, and
Nippur.
a lot of yeah, and Nippur is the Sumerian city. So all this gets confusing. But in his book, um, he talks about the tree of life, right? And he gives a cylinder seal with the Anunnaki solar disk of Asher with a two eagle-headed gods with the tree of life. And this is what he says in his book. He says the blossoms of the tree would appear as pomegranates to many readers and especially to art critics and students in the Western Hemisphere, but the initiated ones recognize them as mushroom flowers, used as a symbol of several secret, esoteric, metaphysical, Gnostic societies in the Near East, Middle East, Anatolia, and the ancient
There's that
world, including
reference
the
of
West.
mushrooms again.
That's what I'm saying. Remember when we had a discussion with Nathan and
Yep.
he talked about mushrooms, and I actually did a podcast with him I think about a year ago, when he actually says that Jesus and the Gnostics have a relationship with mushrooms, and he talks
Mhm.
about that. And I was able to back that up from what he said because I read that in this book from Maximillien. Like, this is what it literally says. I'll tell you, like I said, I'll read it again. Hold on, let me get back. So let me get out of this page real quick. Okay. It says right here, it says, but the initiated ones recognize them as mushroom flowers used as a symbol of several secret, esoteric, metaphysical, and Gnostic societies in the Near East, Middle East, Anatolia, and the ancient world, including the Mayas, the Incas, the Mesopotamians, the Assyrians, the Chaldeans, the Akkadians, the Babylonians, the Arwadians, the Hittites, the Phoenicians, the Brotherhood of Hiram, the Legend of Solemn, the Knights Templar, the Knights of Order of St. John Malta, the Circle of the Serpent, the Brotherhood of the Fish, the Hittite, the Order of the God Bird, at Aznavour, near Panos, the Masonic lodges in Alexandria, Beirut, Damascus, and so on. So this right here tells you that mushrooms played a major freaking part of humanity's society. So psychedelics did something humans. Okay. When Nathan told me this about a year ago about how he learned about this from his Gnostic point of views, I read this in this book, and I automatically had ammunition to argue my point when I can say that mushrooms played a psychedelic role. Those psychedelics played a role in humanity. People were able to meet Jesus or God, or wherever you want to call it, through these mushrooms. It's not me
Mhm.
saying that; it's the ancient text that's saying it. So, bringing sources to the table always helps me uh, understand what is going on. Let's see. Let's find another one. Here we go. So this is what I found interesting in his book. He says, contrary to common belief, the Anunnaki were not the first gods and goddesses to create a human from clay. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
On that note,
Says,
I'm gonna I'm gonna heat up my banger real quick.
let me tell you why. Let me tell you why he says this. And this is why I always say that we need to do more research instead of the places that people find the most interesting, because that's not the origins. He says numerous deities from different pantheons of the ancient Middle East and Africa also created man from clay. For instance, and I say this and I put this on my website a long time ago, Clum, also known as Knif, meaning to build, to unify in Egyptian, was one of the oldest Egyptian gods who created mankind from clay on a potter's wheel. Knum became a variation of Ta. This is what's written in ancient texts. I literally have a book that's called Gods and Goddesses of Ancient Egypt. It literally says that in there. I'm reading another book from Maximillien that backs that up. Knum is known as a god who created humans from the potter's wheel. Why do people go to the Sumerians if the ancient Egyptian gods has the oldest individual? And you can trace this individual, guess where it goes to? Sudan, Ethiopia. Now, what is the oldest Christian Bible that people always claim that seems to be? The one that's the Ethiopian book.
Yep.
So why are we so focused on Mesopotamia if we have the oldest information residing in Africa?
Well, damn.
This dude is literally backing up what has been said for hundreds of years, but people say, oh no, that's not right. We don't need to go do that. And he's
Well,
saying,
from just like you had mentioned earlier, me reading the Colburn Bible, the Book of Revelations the Colburn Bible was long before the Book of Revelations. And literally reading the Colburn Bible so far is like fucking almost word verbatim of what the Book of Revelations is, and especially the time frame that we're living in right now. Where men are trying to be female and female vice versa, yada yada yada. And a lot of the prophecies are explained in the Colburn Bible. And like, so is it and then the Ethiopian Bible is basically part of it's a text conformed of not only that information of the Colburn Bible, but other texts as well. So is the Ethiopian Bible really the oldest Bible?
no, it's not. I can say it's not. It's just one of the
Yeah,
oldest.
right.
It's as far as when it comes to what we know as Christianity, probably yes. I don't know. I mean, we got dates for everything. But the point is that um, there's information that's in Africa that's older than Mesopotamia, but people are so focused on Mesopotamia. And when you give them, and when you ask questions, or when they ask questions about where did they get this information from, and you say, well, hey, maybe we should look more into, Ethiopia or the Dogon tribe. And they say, no, let's not do that. Why not go to the if the doggone people literally inhabit the land of ancient Egypt, like some actually have shared and gave evidence for, then why not follow their mythology and see where that came from? And I give you an example. Point blank, the next part of the book that I want to talk about. It says Gilgamesh was deified and became a god of the underworld. Now, when we think of underworld, what do we think of? Hell,
Hades.
most of the time. Or hell,
Hades.
right?
Yeah.
Right, hell. So how did Gilgamesh become the god of the underworld? And then Gilgamesh names changed to Lucifer, which changed to Satan, which is also known as Satan, which is also known as the devil. So is Gilgamesh all those? If
What
Gilgamesh
about
is
who is the one that ruled Hades? Fucking out of the Greek gods, because what the through the different times, the ruler of hell didn't it was always the same person. It's just their name had always changed.
that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. So is Gilgamesh literally Lucifer, Satan, or the devil?
Probably.
I mean, if you read, I mean, from
Well,
what
if
I
that's the
know
case,
about,
then Enki would be the devil as well.
well, there's a
I
lot of
mean,
guys that went down to the underworld and in so many different ways ruled it in their own way. Because part of Africa was known as the underworld. So that's what I'm saying is that is it who was in charge at that time? Because reading about Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh wasn't a good king. I can tell you that right now. He had to have sex with every woman that got married before the husband could. Like it was in their law. Like before that woman, before the man and woman consecrated their marriage, Gilgamesh had to have that first. And anybody that knows anything about Uday and Kusei, they know that that shit happened all the way up to the early 2000s when they were in charge. That's why I'm saying this history just repeats itself over and over and over again. You know, some people would literally say Uday and Kusei was the same as Gilgamesh in their own way. Saddam thought he was Nebuchadnezzar, I believe it
Yep.
was. So you know what I'm saying? So it to me is really interesting. So here we go. I'm almost done. I got two more highlights. It
Hmm.
says Marduk is also the king of the Igigi who rebelled against the Anunnaki. He has 50 names, many of which are those of other deities who attributes his usurp. Now, this is what's interesting about the Igigi. When I read the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature, the Igigi are known as the great gods.
Hmm.
The Anunnaki are
Greatest.
just known as the regular gods, or just known as gods. This is actually written in the electronic text corpus. I've shared that so many times. There's no argument in that. Now, when it says that Marduk is the king of the Igigi, that tells me that Marduk is in charge, is also the king of the great gods
Hmm.
who rebelled against the other gods known as the Anunnaki. But why would the great gods need to rebel against the regular gods or just gods? You see what I'm saying? That it bring. That's why I said there are parts that I can understand
Well,
and
I would.
believe, and there are parts that I don't believe.
The only way I could think of that would be like kind of like our political system. Kind of, we have these old decrepit, congressional people sitting in there, and we're saying out with the old and in with the new. So the newer gods, the Anunnaki, or the younger ones, anyways, would you know tend to be pushing up the greater gods. That would be the only thing that I could think of as that of the Ijiji, where they're long before the younger Anunnaki.
Right, right, right. Now, this is the one that I talk about a lot, and this is the last one, and then we can open up a different space after this, so I can close it down. When I read about Nibiru, I also know that it's known as Nibiru under the Sumerians, Assyrians, and then it's Akkadian now. Now, this is what it says that Akkadian and Sumerian scribes use the word Nibiru more correctly. Nibiru as a name for Jupiter and later on referred to Mercury as Nibiru. Even their god Marduk was called Nibiru. Now, when I say that there is no planet called Nibiru, what I mean by that is there's no planet Nibiru that orbits our sun every 3,600 years.
Right.
Now, I do know that the Babylonians, I know that the Assyrians and so many different other texts, they talk about how Nibiru became Jupiter
Mm.
and also was known as Mercury. Now, those are planets. We know that. That's no denying that. Neither one of those orbit our sun every 3,600 years.
No.
What I feel like is when Zachariah Sitchin says that Nibiru, Planet X, and all these other fucking ideas that they give out there about, a planet that has extraterrestrial life out there, I don't understand how Zachariah Sitchin came up with the 3,600 years. If you read the actual text, like I said, the electronic text corpus of Sumerian literature gives you at least a detailed description of exactly what is said about Nibiru, and it says it's a city. Okay. Now, when the Babylonians came from, but now the Babylonians are also known as the Chaldeans, and then the Chaldeans and Sumers also known as one and the same. You get into this whole mix up of who the hell is who and
Hmm.
figuring out what is what. But let's get rid of all that. We do know that there are that Nibiru was a planet and a star. Now, what we
Mhm.
don't know for a fact is, because it's not written in ancient text, that there was a planet that orbited our sun every 3,600 years, and the Anunnaki came from that planet, and they came here to mine gold because they needed gold for their planet, for their atmosphere. That's not what's written. That is not what's written in ancient text. Okay, until somebody can actually prove that and give us information for that, then there is nothing that says that. But I will give the idea that Jupiter and Mercury was known as planet Nibiru according to the constellations and what the Babylonians and so on, some people said. And that's what he says here. In many ideas, in what he gives as his source, he says Nibiru in the Epic of Enuma Elish, which I discussed earlier, tablet 7, lines 124 and 125 gives you the indication of that. Now we know that the Enuma Elish is also a Babylonian tale, which comes much later than the Sumerians. But guess what? The Sumerians, the Babylonians, and the Chaldeans, if you go off the actual text, and if I use my 1873 Bible that's in
But
front of me,
wasn't it like the land of Chaldea? So you would technically be a Chaldean, but from being in a city of like Babylon or whatever, you would be known as like a Sumerian or Babylonian. But wouldn't it be the land of Chaldea because that was like considered like different state sizes in like Russia or whatnot? The size of the country, wouldn't that be like the land of Chaldea? But you'd have different little
yeah.
areas in between.
Yeah, so basically, just to caveat what you said, instead of it being Sumer, it was Sumer slash Chaldea, or I should say Chaldea slash Sumer,
Yeah.
because like you said, it is the land of Chaldea. When I came into this, Peter, I wish Peter would actually stop fucking with people that's argue, that he's trying to argue with, and actually share his knowledge, because he's actually
Right.
deep into this shit.
Yeah.
Um, I I I'm mixed with all kinds of stuff. I did my 23andMe, and I did my test, and whatever opinion people have about it, they can say whatever they want about 23andMe, but I have a gist of what I am, right? And I knew about Sumer, I knew about Chaldea, but it wasn't until my mom bought me my 1873 Bible for my 40th birthday. And I picked it up and I started reading it. And in my book, and I had presented it on my YouTube and Twitter and everything, that Sumer, Chaldea, and Babylon are one and the same. Babylon is the capital of Chaldea. Okay. The land of Chaldea, which you spoke of, Trevor,
Hmm.
is a whole section of places.
Hmm.
Now, Sumer fell under the category of Chaldea. Now, a lot of people will say that the Sumerians are the founders of this first civilization, but now knowing what I've known and what I've been able to present through my stuff, because I've actually done my due diligence and my research, Chaldea is actually, what was it before Sumer? I almost feel like Chaldea was a special group of individuals, and because we don't research that much, Chaldea literally has so many different time frames.
Hmm.
Literally, I know
Yeah.
of 3 off the back, but if we consider Sumer, Chaldea, and if I go off of what I have in front of me, the ancient text that I have, if anybody does it, nobody has to take my word. You can look. I promoted this shit. I put it out there. It's in my records. This is, if it's out there that Chaldea and Sumer is one and the same, I don't have to search for nothing else. I know that Chaldea and Sumer is the same. When
Hmm.
somebody says Sumer, I hear Chaldea. When somebody says Chaldea, I hear Sumer.
Yep.
It's just what it is. And anybody who speaks multiple languages would know exactly what I'm talking about. So, you know, in the essence of everything, basically, like I said, I'm gonna do a book probably every single day like this. You say you have Restream on your thing from the 3 months
No,
free.
no,
Is-
it's a different service, but um, shit, you know
I
what?
thought it was Restream.
No, it's not Restream, not at all. What I'm gonna do is, hang on, I'm going to see, that was okay.
because I know Restream, StreamYard. There's a couple of other ones. They're all the same. This is basically what you'll be able to do. So you'll be able to broadcast to your Twitter, your YouTube, your Facebook, and all that other shit that you want. And you'll be able to do exactly what I'm doing right here. They all have their own different thing. Look at J Dub. What's up, J Dub? I see you over there. He messaging over there for Twitter. I see you over there. You know, came in here like we about to start another space though, because I was just going over these books that I was trying to get through. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of books, man. I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna. Oh shoot! Hold up. I got a lot. I'm gonna go over every book that I possibly own, from hard copies to my Kindle. I got me a Kindle Scribe now. Man, I'm so happy about this because I just need my case now. Because I read a lot of books. I got. Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all what kind of books I got just ready to go on this Kindle Scribe that I'll just be reading. Look at all these books. I just be reading. And I got a lot of hard copies. I got a whole list on my website, rebirthoftheword.com. So, you know what I'm saying? It's all about gaining that knowledge. That's all it is. Easy and greasy. You damn right. Where Fear at? Fear, where you at? I can't hear you, man. I'm about to shut this shit down.
I'm right here. I'm on a different screen. I'm trying to get something real quick.
I'm gonna shut this shit down and start another space.
All right, hang on. Let me read this to you. It's a product called Riverside Pro.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
And yeah, so I got a cloud-based platform for content creator, record high-quality remote content, podcast videos and live streams, broadcast quality sound and video, 15 hours of separate audio and video tracks, no watermarks, plus screen sharing, up to 4K video and 48 kilohertz audio, live streaming on all social media, unlimited transcripts, and accept live call-ins and live chat support.
Yeah, Riverside. I had that one before too. I actually started off with Riverside. The only thing is I stopped using it because one, it was more expensive than Zoom.
And I also have Buzzsprout podcast hosting. That it also came with 3 months as well, and it comes with comprehensive and it's user friendly distribution on 12 different platforms, insights and statistics, automatic episode optimization, dynamic content tool, automated transcriptions, chapter management tools, manage many podcasts in one account, easy third party integration, and personalized website that comes with it.
Yeah. So what I'm basically doing now is what you can do. All this stuff right now, like you'll have your J Dub. He was on a different screen. That's why. So you'll be able to have messages pop up. You'll be able to change your thing. Like you see how we're both on here, and then I can switch it this way. I can share a screen. So yeah, you'll be able to do all that stuff, bro. All that stuff. But you want to start up the space after this?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So I'm about to close this down. Tomorrow I'm gonna let's see, before I shut this down, let me see what book I'm gonna do tomorrow. Well, I'm gonna do them all the time around this time because it's easier for me because I don't sleep at night anyway, and I can take my naps during the day. So the next book that I'm gonna do is The Origin of the Name God and His True Identity, synopsis and translation of the Phoenician, Ugaritic, Canaanite, Sumerian, Akkadian, and Assyrian tablets by Maximillien de Lafayette. And that'll be the last book from his until a while. I'll be, like I said, I'm going to go through my whole website all the books that I have. So I'm gonna close this down, and then if you're in here now, just go to Trevor's. We're about to start up a space on Trevor. I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.
Peace.